The silent arrival. The alarms echoed through the corridors of the Zilari flagship, turning the ship's cold metal walls into a chamber of tension. Commander Tarek stood on the command deck, staring at the burning planet of Thalos 4 below. The planet was dying, its cities crushed, its oceans boiling from orbital bombardment. It had been a Union stronghold. Now it was a graveyard. For months, the Galactic Union and the Dominion had fought across this sector. Battles were brutal and endless. No side was winning. Every victory came with 100 losses. Tarek had seen enough destruction to numb any soul. But today, something was different. "Commander," a sensor officer called, voice shaky. "We're picking up a hyperspace signature. A ship is arriving, right in the middle of the war zone." Tarek frowned. "Dominion reinforcements?" I don't think so, sir," the officer replied. "The signature doesn't match anything in our database." On the massive holodisplay, a blue distortion rippled through space, just above Thalos 4's orbit. The distortion grew, twisting like a whirlpool. A moment later, a ship emerged, dark, silent, and completely unmarked. No insignia, no ID code, no lights. The bridge fell silent. "What is that?" whispered one of the officers. The vessel was large, almost the size of a dreadnought, but its shape was strange. Its surface seemed ancient, scarred by time, yet its lines were smooth and sharp. It drifted calmly, as if the battle around it didn't exist. Explosions flashed nearby, fleets exchanged heavy fire, but the mysterious ship didn't move. It simply watched. Tarek's second officer spoke quickly, breaking the silence. "No IF signals. No communications, it's just sitting there." Tarek narrowed his eyes. "Open a channel." "Hail them." "Yes, sir." The comms officer sent out the standard Union greeting signal, then a warning, then a direct message. No response. Again, nothing. "It's ignoring us," the officer confirmed nervously. On the holodisplay, the battle raged on. Dominion ships noticed the newcomer too. Several broke formation and began circling cautiously. Panic spread through the Union fleet. "This could be a Dominion trap," someone muttered. "A new prototype warship?" "No," Tarek interrupted. "Dominion ships look nothing like that. And if it were theirs, they'd be boasting about it already." He was right. Dominion loved to intimidate. This ship was different. Its silence was unnerving. Another officer shouted, "Commander, I'm getting strange readings from its hull. Our scanners are confused. The ship isn't reflecting signals normally. It's not fully here." Tarek's heart began to pound. "Not fully here?" That made no sense. "Show me," he ordered. The scanner display flickered. The ship's image glitched between solid and hazy outlines, like a ghost flickering in and out of reality. Tarek had served 20 years in space warfare. He had never seen anything like this. "Sir," a communications tech whispered, "Dominion intercepts show." They're scared too. Their fleet is holding position. They don't know what this is either. That alone was enough to send a chill down Tarek's spine. The Dominion never hesitated, but now they waited. The mysterious vessel floated quietly, motionless. Then, slowly, its engines hummed to life. A deep vibration spread through the flagship's hull. Even though the ship was kilometers away, the Zilari crew felt it, like the air itself was resonating with a hidden force. Lights flickered across the unknown hull. Strange glowing lines traced patterns, like veins awakening after a long sleep. "What is it doing?" Tarek demanded. "Power readings are rising," the sensor officer shouted. "It's activating something. A known energy signature." Tarek leaned forward, eyes locked on the display. "Is it charging weapons?" "I can't tell. Our sensors can't identify the systems. It's beyond our classification." Panic began to ripple through the Union fleet. Some captains ordered their ships to back away. Others armed their weapons. Fleet communication channels were flooded with confused chatter. "Hold position!" Tarek barked. "Do not fire unless fired upon." "We don't know what we're dealing with." A few ships didn't listen. One small Union frigate launched a scan pulse at the unknown vessel, just to get a better look. The response was instant. A wave of invisible energy rippled outward from the mysterious ship. Every system on the scanning frigate shut down. Lights died. Engines went dark. The ship drifted helplessly like a corpse in space. The bridge gasped. It disabled them. "Without firing," whispered Tarek's second officer. "Just like that." Dominion ships, too, backed off nervously. For the first time in years of war, both sides stopped shooting. The battle around Thalos 4 froze, and still the mysterious vessel did not move toward either side. It watched. Its glowing lines pulsed like a heartbeat. Tarek could feel it, a strange sensation crawling at the back of his mind. It wasn't fear of weapons. It was something deeper, something old. As if this ship wasn't part of the present, but a shadow from a forgotten time. The Union Admiral's voice crackled over comms. "All ships, this is High Command. Maintain distance from the unknown vessel. Do not engage. Repeat, do not engage. We are attempting to contact the humans. This ship may belong to them. Humans." Tarek's head snapped up, of course. The design and the silence, the technology. It fit. Humans were known for keeping secrets. But why here? Why now? His thoughts were cut short when the mysterious vessel's power readings spiked again. The glowing patterns intensified. The space around the ship began to shimmer, as if reality itself bent near it. "Sir!" shouted the sensor officer. "Spatial distortion increasing. This is off the charts." Tarek's throat went dry. "What is it doing now?" Before anyone could answer, the stars in the background seemed to twist, light bending unnaturally. It was like space was holding its breath. Every sound on the bridge faded into a tense silence. Even the hum of the engines felt distant. Then Tarek whispered the words that every crew member felt deep inside. Then the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. The stars were silent, the battlefield frozen in a moment that felt endless. Union and Dominion fleets hung in space, weapons idle, engines on standby. All eyes were fixed on the mysterious vessel that had arrived near Thalos 4. Commander Tarek stood rigid on the command deck of the Zalari flagship. His claws tapped against the railing, a nervous habit he'd developed over years of war. But even after all the horrors he had witnessed, this silence felt different. It felt like the moment before a storm. "Commander," said the sensor officer, voice trembling, "the unknown ship's energy output is climbing again, rapidly." "Show me," Tarek ordered. The holo display lit up with graphs. Energy readings shot upward like a rocket. The glowing lines on the alien-looking hull pulsed brighter, casting an eerie light across the battlefield. Dominion ships adjusted their formations, unsure whether to flee or attack. "This power signature," the officer whispered. "It's beyond anything in Union or Dominion records. It's waking up," Tarek's communicator buzzed. High Command appeared on the main screen, a stern-faced Zalari admiral. "Commander Tarek, maintain observation. Do not provoke. The humans are not responding to diplomatic channels. We are trying again through the Sol Relay Network." "Understood, Admiral," Tarek replied. Humans, the word carried weight. They were founders of the Union, mysterious allies who rarely appeared in open wars. Their technology was ancient, powerful, and often hidden. If this vessel was human, why was it here alone without communication? Before he could think further, the Dominion fleet made its move. "Commander!" yelled the tactical officer. "Dominion ships are advancing, 3 cruisers and 5 frigates moving toward the unknown vessel." The Dominion had decided to test the intruder. Their ships moved in formation, engines blazing, weapons armed. They launched a scanner pulse first, then followed with warning shots, small bursts of plasma meant to scare. The mysterious vessel didn't move. It didn't reply. It simply floated in the darkness, watching. Then everything happened at once. A sudden flash of white light exploded from the unknown ship. Not from its weapons, not from engines. It came from everywhere at once, a blinding wave that swept across space like a silent storm. "Shields up," Tarek barked. The Zalari flagship's shields shimmered, but the wave passed through harmlessly. It wasn't an attack. It was something else, something scanners couldn't even describe. Dominion ships flew straight into the wave, and then vanished. The bridge gasped. Where did they go? Someone cried. Tarek stared at the tactical screen. The Dominion cruisers and frigates were simply gone. No explosions, no wreckage, no debris. Their signals vanished as if they had never existed. They didn't jump, the sensor officer stammered. There was no hyperspace signature. They just disappeared. For a moment, no one spoke. Even the sound of ventilation seemed loud in the stunned silence. Tarek's heart pounded. Replay the sensor data. Slowly, they watched the hollow recording frame by frame. The Dominion ships approached. The mysterious vessel pulsed. And then, in a single instant, the enemy ships ceased to exist, not destroyed, not disintegrated, erased. "This is impossible," whispered his second officer. "No known weapon can do that." But Tarek didn't answer. He couldn't. He was staring at the glowing vessel, now slowly rotating to face the Union and Dominion fleets. It was judging them. He could feel it. Then came the message. A small alert blinked on the comms screen. "Incoming transmission. Source, unknown vessel. Put it through," Tarek said, voice barely above a whisper. The screen filled with a single line of text, written in galactic standard. "Observe, do not interfere." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. No voice, no explanation. "Just that one line. What does it mean?" someone asked. Tarek didn't answer. He didn't need to. It was clear, whatever this ship was about to do, it didn't want anyone getting in its way. Dominion fleets across the battlefield began pulling back. Their admiralty likely realized what had just happened and didn't want to share the fate of the vanished cruisers. But the Union ships were still frozen, unsure whether to retreat or stay. Then the unknown vessel made its first deliberate move. It turned slowly toward the Dominion command carrier, the largest ship in the sector. Engines glowed brighter, and strange geometric patterns rippled along its hull, like light flowing through veins. "Sir," said the sensor officer nervously, "it's scanning everything. Not just ships, planets, space itself." Tarek gripped the railing tightly. He suddenly felt very small. The Dominion command carrier launched a full salvo of plasma torpedoes out of fear. The mysterious vessel didn't even dodge. Instead, a sphere of blue light expanded around it. The torpedoes hit the sphere and vanished, just like the cruisers. Then the ship responded. A beam of silent energy swept through the Dominion fleet. It wasn't bright. It wasn't loud. But the effect was devastating. Every Dominion ship in its path powered down instantly. Engines, weapons, shields, all dead. The ships drifted like corpses, powerless in the void. On the Union flagship, every officer stared at the screen, speechless. It neutralized an entire fleet. The tactical officer breathed. "In seconds," Tarek whispered, This isn't a warship. It's something else." The Union admiral reappeared on the comms, visibly shaken. "Commander Tarek, this confirms it. That vessel is of human origin. Long-range archives match the energy signature to ancient Sol designs, though heavily modified. Do not engage under any circumstances." Tarek's mind raced. Human, of course. Only they would build something so powerful and keep it hidden for centuries. But why reveal it now? Why here? He looked back at the ship as it drifted closer to the Dominion lines, its presence like a storm on the horizon. For the first time since the war began, the Dominion fleet was retreating, and Tarek realized with a chill, humanity hadn't even spoken. It hadn't negotiated. It had shown a glimpse of its power, and the galaxy trembled. He stared into the dark, glowing silhouette of the ship, and his thoughts echoed in silence. This was only the beginning. The command deck of the Zalari flagship buzzed with quiet panic. Officers whispered among themselves. Screens showed replay after replay of the Dominion ships vanishing into nothing. The mysterious vessel floated alone, surrounded by silence, a silence that carried more weight than any weapon. Commander Tarek stood motionless, staring at the glowing ship. Its smooth, ancient hull reflected the light of distant stars. It had given only one message: observe, do not interfere. He couldn't shake the feeling that the ship was watching back. "Commander," said the sensor officer. Breaking the silence, Union High Command is requesting a secure channel. "They say it's urgent." "Put them through," Tarek replied. The holoscreen flickered to life. 3 figures appeared, Union intelligence officers. Their faces were pale, their voices tight with unease. "Commander Tarek, what you have witnessed must remain classified for now," said the lead officer. "We're sending you historical files. Restricted level Omega. You are to view them personally and then delete them. No one else on your bridge is authorized?" Tarek frowned. "Level Omega? That's ancient clearance." "Yes," the officer replied grimly. "Because what you're seeing out there shouldn't exist anymore." Moments later, Tarek sat alone in his private chamber. The lights dimmed. A single hollow projector glowed before him, displaying the words, "Archive File, Human Warship, Aegis Eternal, date, 2174 years ago. Status, lost during First Dominion." War Tarek's breath caught. Aegis Eternal. He'd heard that name before, not in military briefings, but in whispered legends. Stories told among officers late at night. Stories that were never officially confirmed. A ghost ship from humanity's ancient wars. A ship so powerful that entire fleets vanished when it appeared. He tapped play. The recording began with shaky old footage. A galactic battlefield filled with burning wreckage. Dominion ships swarmed like locusts. And then, out of hyperspace, a single human ship arrived, dark, silent, unmarked. It looked almost identical to the one outside Talos 4 right now. A narrator's voice echoed, "In the darkest hour of the First Dominion War, when the Union was collapsing, humanity unleashed its greatest weapon. The Aegis Eternal." The footage showed the ship moving alone into enemy formations. In moments, Dominion fleets were shredded by invisible forces. Planets were neutralized without bombardment. Entire star systems went silent. "It was designed not just to fight," the voice continued, "but to end wars, permanently." Tarek leaned closer. The file showed Dominion records of the Aegis Eternal. Even their enemies feared it. Some called it the Silent Reaper, others the Judgment Ship, but then the story changed. After the final battle at Epsilon Reach, the Aegis Eternal vanished. It jumped into deep space and was never seen again. Humanity classified all records. For 20,000 years it was assumed destroyed. The screen froze on the image of the Aegis Eternal disappearing into hyperspace. And now it was here. Tarek sat back, heart pounding. So the ship was real. Humanity had built a warship capable of changing the entire balance of the galaxy. And for 20,000 years, they'd kept it hidden. He understood why Union High Command was terrified. If the Dominion learned that humanity still possessed something like this, panic would spread across every star system. His private comm beeped. The Admiral's face appeared. "Commander Tarek, you've seen the files. You understand now?" "I do," Tarek replied slowly. "But Admiral, why is it here? Why now?" "We don't know. Humanity hasn't sent any fleet, no communication. It's acting on its own, or by orders far above Union authority." Tarek frowned. "You're saying even the Union can't control it?" "Exactly," the Admiral said. "And that terrifies everyone." Back on the bridge, the situation grew stranger. The Aegis Eternal began moving for the first time. Slowly, purposefully, it turned toward Dominion territory. "Commander!" the navigation officer called. "The unknown vessel is changing course. It's leaving Talos 4 orbit." Tarek returned to the deck. "Where is it going?" The officer zoomed out the star map. The destination appeared on the display, a system deep inside Dominion space, Caravel Prime, the Dominion's central command world. "They're heading straight for the enemy capital," the officer whispered. Union fleets followed nervously from a distance. No one dared get too close. The Aegis Eternal didn't wait for permission, didn't send messages, didn't ask for help. It moved like it knew exactly what it was doing. Dominion communication channels exploded with chatter. Tarek listened in. Unknown vessel on trajectory to Caravel. Dominion High Command ordering full defensive mobilization. All fleets to intercept. The Dominion was scared. Truly scared. In centuries of war, Tarek had never heard their admirals sound this desperate. They were throwing everything they had in the path of the Aegis Eternal. On the bridge, officers whispered anxiously, "Shouldn't we stop it? It's heading straight into the enemy heartland." Tarek shook his head. No, our orders are clear. Observe. And after what happened to those cruisers, I wouldn't try to stop it anyway, but deep inside a thought chilled him. What if this ship isn't here to help the Union? What if humanity had awakened it for reasons no one else understood? He stared at the vessel's glowing hull. Those lights pulsed like a heartbeat, ancient, patient, and unstoppable. Whatever the Aegis Eternal was planning, the galaxy had no idea what was coming next, and neither did he. As the ship disappeared into hyperspace on its way to Dominion space, the bridge fell silent again. Tarek's voice was soft, almost a whisper. We thought we'd seen everything in war. But this is something else. The stars outside seemed distant and cold. The ghost of humanity's past was on the move again, and somewhere in the depths of space, the Dominion waited, unaware that history itself was about to awaken at their doorstep. The Aegis Eternal had set its course, and nothing in the galaxy could stop it. The battlefield had gone silent. For the first time in weeks, there were no Dominion cruisers launching attacks, no Union distress calls, no burning fleets drifting through the void. The silence felt unnatural, like a predator's breath before the strike. Commander Tarek stood on the bridge of the Zilari flagship, Vigilant Edge. The crew moved nervously, their antennae flicking, eyes fixed on the black void where the human vessel waited. It hung there like a shadow with no origin, its hull absorbing light, reflecting nothing. "Report," Tarek ordered, his voice low. "Sir, the human vessel has not moved," said Sensor Officer Rill, "but something is happening inside. Energy signatures are rising again. Same unknown pattern as before." Tarek narrowed his eyes. In the last encounter, the human ship had unleashed a wave of power that tore through Dominion ships like paper. Even now, he could still picture it. The way the enemy fleet was reduced to drifting wreckage in seconds, but now the ship wasn't attacking. It was waiting. A sudden alert blared. "Multiple warp signatures detected," cried Rill. Tarek spun toward the display. One after another, Dominion ships emerged from hyperspace, dozens of cruisers, then carriers, then something larger. The bridge lights dimmed as the tactical map filled with red. "By the stars," whispered Helia, the communications officer. "That's a full Dominion armada." The Dominion fleet advanced like a stormfront, forming a wall around the burning planet Thalos 4. Their purpose was clear: crush the Union remnants once and for all. Union commanders scrambled, trying to form defenses, but everyone knew the truth. They were outnumbered, outgunned and demoralized, and yet the human ship slowly began to move. Into the shadow zone, the vessel drifted away from the planet and the fleets, moving toward the edge of the system. There, space itself grew darker, a region known as the Shadow Veil. It was a strange patch of space where sensors failed and signals were lost. No one dared enter it during battle. "Where is it going?" Helia asked. Tarek didn't answer. He didn't know. The Dominion commander saw the movement too. "Human vessel detected. All ships pursue," came the intercepted order. Like hunters chasing prey, Dominion cruisers broke formation and followed the human ship into the dark. Tarek watched as the mysterious vessel crossed the threshold of the Shadow Veil. One by one, Dominion ships followed, and then vanished from the scanners. "Lost contact," reported Rill. "All ships inside the Veil are gone, no signals, no explosions, just silence." The decision, Tarek felt a chill run through his spine. Was this a trap? Or something worse? He paced the bridge. "Prepare a stealth scout. We need eyes inside the Veil." "Sir, entering that zone is suicide," Helia warned. "No one comes back from there. Not even probes." Tarek clenched his fists. He couldn't ignore what was happening. The human vessel had led half the Dominion armada into darkness. If something catastrophic was happening inside, the Union needed to know. After a tense silence, he gave the order: "Launch the scout drone. Follow at maximum distance. The darkness reveals nothing." The scout drone slipped into the Veil. Its camera feeds flickered with static, then stabilized briefly. The image showed strange, swirling mists of black energy drifting like fog in space. Reading. "Gravitational distortions," Rill reported. It's like space itself is folding in there. Then movement. A faint silhouette glided through the mist. Not Dominion, not Union. Something massive. The drone tried to focus, but the signal was weakening. The last image was a brief glimpse of a colossal shape, ancient, angular, and terrifying. Then the feed went dark. The drone was gone. The tension rises. Sir, we're losing long-range comms, too, Helia warned. The veil is expanding. It's pushing outwards. Tarek turned sharply. Expanding? How fast? Too fast, Rill answered. At this rate, it will engulf the planet within the hour. Panic spread through the Union fleet. Rumors flew, the veil is alive. The human ship has awakened something. No one who enters returns. Meanwhile, the Dominion fleet hesitated. Half their ships had disappeared into the darkness. The rest were holding position, unsure whether to advance or retreat, and the human vessel. It remained inside, silent, unafraid. Tarek stared into the growing void. His instincts screamed that something ancient and powerful was unfolding. The human ship hadn't retreated. It had led the enemy into the dark deliberately. This isn't a battle, he whispered. It's a hunt. Suddenly the stars beyond the veil dimmed, as if space itself inhaled. Energy readings spiked off the charts. Every sensor screamed alarms. Then, for just a heartbeat, the colossal shape they'd glimpsed earlier appeared at the edge of the darkness, its outline like some sleeping titan waking from a long slumber. And behind it, the human ship hovered like a spark before a storm. Tarek's breath caught. What have they done? The view screen flashed white. The stars trembled. On the bridge of the Zalari flagship, Commander Tarek gripped the edge of the command console as the screens flickered with distorted readings. The shadow veil was no longer a distant danger. It was expanding fast, swallowing everything in its path. The Dominion ships that had chased the human vessel had vanished without a trace. Now the silence hanging over the battlefield felt heavy, like the pause before a scream. Sir, something's happening inside the veil, Rill whispered, his voice tight with fear. I'm detecting massive energy spikes. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. Tarek's eyes locked on the view screen. The black mist shifted and rippled, as if something enormous was moving within. And then, through the darkness, shapes emerged, Dominion cruisers drifting back out of the veil. But something was wrong. The ships weren't attacking. They weren't even flying properly. Their hulls were scorched, twisted, and broken, as if invisible claws had torn through them. Some were missing entire sections. Others drifted without power, their lights dead, their engines cold. Helia gasped. Those are the same ships that went in. More wrecks emerged. Then the larger Dominion carriers followed, cracked in half, spewing debris into space. Not a single vessel returned intact. The bridge went silent. Even the humming of the engines seemed to fade. Then a single living Dominion battleship appeared. Its shields were gone, its armor scorched, but it was still active. It moved erratically, spinning on its axis like a wounded beast. A garbled transmission broke through the static. They led us. Into hell. The voice was cut short by a sudden explosion. The battleship detonated in a silent flash, scattering wreckage in every direction. No one spoke. Then the human ship reappeared. It drifted out of the veil slowly, silently, like a ghost. But this time, something had changed. Its hull was glowing with strange patterns, lines of light that pulsed rhythmically, like the heartbeat of a giant creature. Rill's voice shook. Energy levels are climbing again. Higher than before. Much higher. Tarek stepped forward. What are they doing? Before anyone could answer, the human vessel accelerated toward the remaining Dominion fleet. Not away, toward. The Dominion commander reacted instantly, rallying the surviving ships. Beams of plasma fire lanced through space. Torpedoes streaked toward the human vessel. It should have been suicide. No ship could survive that kind of concentrated firepower, but the human ship didn't dodge. It didn't raise shields. Instead, those glowing lines along its hull flared blindingly bright. Every incoming shot bent away. The plasma beams curved in mid-space, like water flowing around a rock. Torpedoes lost guidance and spun harmlessly into the void. The Dominion fleet's barrage simply could not touch the human ship, and then it counterattacked. The hull lights reached a peak and released a pulse, a silent, expanding wave of energy. It wasn't a blast in the traditional sense. It was something stranger. As the wave hit Dominion ships, their systems began to fail one by one. Engines sputtered out. Shields collapsed. Weapons froze. One by one, Dominion cruisers went dark. Carriers followed. Even the command ship flickered helplessly. HFY stared at the tactical display in disbelief. There, shutting down the entire fleet. Without firing a single shot, the human vessel plunged into the heart of the Dominion formation like a blade through water. Everywhere it passed, ships went cold and lifeless, drifting like corpses in the void. Panic erupted in the Dominion channels. Tarek heard fragments of terrified voices. "We can't fight this. It's not technology. It's something else. Retreat! Retreat!" But it was too late. Within minutes, a fleet that once numbered in the hundreds was reduced to wrecks and silent hulks. The human vessel slowed, its lights dimming again, as if satisfied with the destruction it had unleashed. On the Union side, stunned silence filled every bridge. Soldiers who had expected to die now watched their greatest enemy collapse without resistance. Tarek exhaled slowly. "This is impossible," he whispered. HFY's voice was small. "No, Commander. This is humanity." The view screen zoomed in on the human ship as it drifted through the wreckage. For a moment the stars reflected faintly off its hull, and it almost looked alive. Then the lights along its surface shifted again. Rill's monitors spiked with new readings. "Sir, it's charging up again. But there's no Dominion fleet left to fight." "What are they targeting now?" The question hung in the air like a blade. The human vessel turned slowly, deliberately. Its prow faced the burning world of Thalos IV, and the Union fleet that surrounded it. Tarek's blood ran cold. "No," he whispered. The screen brightened as the ship's energy signature climbed higher than ever before. Whatever was coming next, no one was ready for it. The human ship hovered in silence, facing both the burning world of Thalos IV and the entire Union fleet. Its strange hull markings pulsed with light, growing brighter with every passing second. The battlefield that had once been filled with chaos was now frozen. Every commander watching, waiting, terrified of what might happen next. On the Zilari flagship, Commander Tarek could feel his heartbeat in his ears. His crew stared at the screen, barely breathing. The human vessel had already destroyed the Dominion armada without firing a single conventional shot. Now its power readings were higher than ever. No one dared make the first move. "Sir," Rill whispered, eyes wide. "We're receiving something." "A signal," Tarek turned sharply. "From the human ship?" "Yes, it's directed at all frequencies. Every band, even encrypted military channels. They're broadcasting to everyone." The bridge went silent as HFY patched the signal through. At first, there was only static, then a deep, steady pulse like a heartbeat. Slowly, a voice emerged. It was calm, steady, human. "This is Captain Elias Mercer of the Terran Expeditionary Command," the voice said. "To all fleets within this sector. Stand down!" The words echoed through every ship in the Union and Dominion remnants. It wasn't a threat. It was a command. And somehow everyone understood that ignoring it was not an option. Tarek exchanged a stunned look with HFY. "Terran, that means—" "Earth," the voice continued, growing firmer. "This conflict ends now. Withdraw your forces. Do not interfere. What comes next is beyond your comprehension." On the Union channels, chaos erupted. Commanders argued, shouting over one another. Some wanted to retreat. Others refused to take orders from an unknown power. But no one could ignore the raw authority in that voice. Then the message changed. "For centuries," Mercer said, "you have fought your wars, expanded your empires, and ignored the warnings. But the storm you have awakened is older than your civilizations. We did not come here to join your war. We came because you have touched something you were never meant to find." Tarek frowned. "What is he talking about?" Rill's monitors flashed with new readings. Deep within the shadow veil, something was shifting again. The colossal shape they'd glimpsed earlier was moving slowly but unmistakably, like a creature waking from a long sleep. The voice continued, now transmitted to the entire galactic network. Every outpost, station and ship across dozens of systems heard it. You uncovered the veil. You disturbed what sleeps beyond. And now all of you will face the consequences. We are here to contain it. Do not stand in our way. The message ended. For a moment there was nothing. No voices, no movement. Just stunned silence. Then the galaxy reacted. Across Union command networks, emergency councils were formed. Dominion survivors sent desperate encrypted messages back to their core worlds. Civilian broadcasts exploded with fear and speculation. Who were these humans? How could a single vessel overpower entire fleets? And what was hidden inside the veil? Tarek stood frozen, his mind racing. He'd heard rumors, ancient stories of a species from the galactic fringes, humans, a race that vanished long ago, retreating into isolation. Many dismissed them as myths, but now, standing before him, their power was undeniable. Helia broke the silence. Commander, the human message is being replayed on every channel. It's spreading across the entire network. People are calling it the warning. Tarek stared at the glowing vessel on the screen. They didn't just send a message to us, he said softly. They sent it to everyone. They want the whole galaxy to listen. Meanwhile, inside the Dominion High Command, panic spread like wildfire. Reports flooded in from border systems. Fleets were ordered to regroup. But something far stranger was happening. Civilizations that had been enemies for generations suddenly paused their wars. The human message had shaken everyone. It wasn't just their power. It was the certainty in their words. They knew something the rest of the galaxy didn't. Back on the vigilant edge, Rill's eyes widened as he stared at his console. Commander, new readings. The veil is expanding again. And the object inside, it's fully active now. Tarek turned slowly toward the view screen. The darkness beyond the human ship was shifting like a massive tide. And somewhere deep within, something enormous was moving closer. He whispered, almost to himself, the message wasn't a threat. It was a warning. Then, for the first time, the human vessel transmitted directly to the Union flagship. A private channel. This is Captain Mercer, the voice said. Commander Tarek, you need to make a choice. Stay out of the way, or follow us into the dark. Decide quickly. The transmission cut off. Tarek stood frozen, his crew waiting for his order. In that moment, he realized the entire galaxy had changed in a single broadcast. Nothing would ever be the same again. The galaxy was still reeling from the human broadcast. Entire fleets had gone silent, waiting, watching the strange vessel that hovered near the expanding shadow veil. But not everyone intended to listen. On the Dominion flagship Obsidian Claw, deep within the wreckage of the defeated fleet, a secret transmission pulsed through encrypted channels. In the darkened chamber, Lord Koresh, a high-ranking Dominion strategist, leaned over a holotable, his crimson eyes burning with ambition. "They want us to stand down," he growled. "They want us to surrender our power to some forgotten species. I will not kneel to ghosts." Around him, a handful of Dominion officers nodded nervously. Their fleets were broken, their armies scattered, but Koresh had a different plan. "They fear what sleeps in the dark," Koresh continued, pointing at the swirling veil on the hologram. "But I see an opportunity. If we can seize control of that power before the humans do, we can rebuild the Dominion." Stronger than ever, one of his aides hesitated. "But, my lord, the veil destroyed our ships. Entire armadas vanished." Koresh slammed his clawed hand down. "Because fools charge blindly. I will not make their mistakes. We have studied ancient relics. We know more than they realize. There are weapons in that darkness, technology left behind by the old ones. If we take it, humanity will bow before us." He leaned closer, voice low and dangerous. "Send the signal. Begin Operation Eclipse." Far away on the Union flagship Vigilant Edge, Commander Tarek stood on the bridge, staring at the human vessel. His crew buzzed nervously, waiting for his decision. The private message from Captain Mercer echoed in his mind. "Stay out of the way, or follow us into the dark. Decide quickly." Before he could respond, Helia turned sharply toward him. "Commander, I'm picking up strange movements on the Dominion frequencies. Some of their ships are regrouping quietly. It looks like they're heading toward the Veil," Tarek frowned. "They wouldn't dare." Not after what happened, but deep down he knew the Dominion well. They had always been ruthless, and desperation made them even more dangerous. "Put their trajectory on screen," he ordered. The display lit up, showing a cluster of damaged Dominion cruisers creeping through the wreckage fields, masking their movements. They were heading straight for the edge of the Veil, the same place the human ship had entered earlier. "They're planning something," Helia said. Tarek's gut tightened. Betrayal was coming. Meanwhile, aboard the human vessel, Captain Elias Mercer watched the same Dominion movements unfold on his monitors. His crew had already anticipated it. "They're making their move," said Lieutenant Vance. "Dominion ships are trying to slip behind the Veil. Do we intervene?" Mercer's expression was unreadable. "No, let them enter. Sir?" "They think they can control what's inside," Mercer said quietly. "Let them try. The shadows deal with traitors far better than we ever could." In the dark edges of the battlefield, Koresh's fleet reached the Veil. The mists swirled, gravitational tides pulling at their hulls. The Dominion officers exchanged nervous looks as their ships crossed the threshold. "Activate the stabilizers," Koresh commanded, "and bring the artifact online." In the heart of his flagship, Dominion engineers worked furiously to power a strange, crystalline device, ancient, stolen from forgotten ruins. The moment it activated, a deep rumble echoed through the Veil. Back on Tarek's bridge, alarms flared. "Commander!" Massive energy spike inside the Veil. Dominion ships triggered something. Tarek's blood ran cold. "What did they do?" The view screen showed the mists shifting violently. Tendrils of black energy lashed out like living things. One Dominion cruiser was seized and crushed in seconds, its hull folding like paper before it was dragged screaming into the darkness. On Koresh's flagship, panic erupted. "My lord, it's unstable." "We can't control it." Koresh bared his teeth. "Hold the line! We will master this power." But the shadows didn't obey. From deep within the Veil, a new shape emerged. It wasn't the human ship. It wasn't Dominion. It was something far older. Its form twisted space itself, and just looking at it made sensors glitch. "By the stars," Helia whispered on Tarek's bridge. That's what they woke up. The colossal shape moved toward the Dominion fleet like a predator sensing prey. Koresh screamed orders, but it was too late. The ancient entity surged forward, tearing through ships like a storm. One by one, Dominion vessels exploded or vanished into the dark. On the human vessel, Mercer watched silently. "Betrayal always reveals itself," he said softly. Then he gave the order, "Prepare to engage. We can't let it reach the Union fleet." Tarek stared at the growing horror on the screen. The Dominion's greed had unleashed something no one could control. And now it was coming for all of them. For the first time, the Union fleet, the human ship, and the remnants of the Dominion had a common enemy. But it might already be too late. The galaxy had reached its breaking point. The Dominion gathered its largest armada in centuries, determined to erase both the Union and whatever ghostly human power haunted the stars. Dozens of systems burned, and billions prayed for a savior that would never come. The Zalari, the Veyari, the Odrin, all prepared for extinction. Yet in the silence before the storm, the humans finally moved. The vessel that had haunted every battle, that had appeared and vanished without explanation, returned once more. But this time it did not come alone. One by one, more ships emerged from hyperspace. Verse 10, then 100, then thousands. Black silhouettes of impossible design filled the void, each humming with a presence that made every alien sensor wail in panic. These were not crude warships, they were precision engines of war, carrying the weight of centuries. The Dominion fleet roared forward, confident in its size. Their admirals mocked the Union, certain that humanity was nothing more than a dying race clutching at old shadows. But when the first human vessel fired, the illusion ended. Entire wings of Dominion cruisers vanished in a single, blinding flash, erased from reality as though the universe itself had rejected them. Commander Tarek, watching from the shattered remains of his flagship, whispered what countless others now realized. This was not an attack, it was judgment. The humans had returned not as allies, not as saviors, but as arbiters. Across the battlefield, human ships fought with cold precision. No wasted movements, no hesitation. Their weapons struck only Dominion targets, but the message was clear. This was their war now. The Union was nothing more than a bystander. Then came the transmission. It was not broadcast in the language of one species, but in all. Every mind, no matter their tongue, understood the words that followed. You begged for our silence. You feared our return. And yet, when your empires brought ruin to the stars, you called us back. Know this, we do not fight for power nor for empire. We fight because you left us no choice. This war ends today. The galaxy trembled. Dominion ships broke formation, commanders screaming in panic as their fleets collapsed. Some tried to flee, only to find human vessels already waiting at their escape points. There was no retreat. What followed was not a battle. It was an execution. The Dominion, which had crushed dozens of species under its rule, which had burned worlds and enslaved billions, ceased to exist in a matter of hours. Their fleets shattered, their warlords silenced, their empire gone. When the silence finally returned to space, only human ships remained. And then, just as suddenly as they had arrived, most vanished back into hyperspace. No claim to territory, no throne to seize, only a final warning, broadcast to every corner of the galaxy: do not summon us again. For the first time in living memory, the galaxy knew true silence. But that silence was heavy. Every species, every empire, every council knew the truth. Humanity had acted. And now the stars themselves would never be the same. And yet in the shadows beyond known space, another signal stirred. One even the humans had not expected.